Okay, so in a change that been Marvel versus DC, someone threw out this fight of Luke Cage versus Colossus. And I was like, alright, Luke Cage versus Pietro. Okay, I can kind of dig this fight. Now, Luke Cage, you're probably wondering, yes, I picked the old school classic looks for both of them. There's something that when it came from my idea of like Iron Fist, I prefer like the yellow surf socks and the green bodysuit with like the yellow disco collar and like the really weird. So when it comes to the way like my Luke Cage, I like him with just hardcore 70s era like blaxploitation style where it's look, he's wearing giant high boots that no one would ever wear, giant bright shirt, which depending on writer actually had a level of durability and vulnerability equal to the skin of Luke Cage, with the thick heavy chain belt which just looks ridiculous, Wonder Woman-esque bracers, and a tiara. That's just one of the toughest men, and he looks like someone went, I like what Wonder Woman wears. Yeah. Let's put a jacket on him. Pants. Big floppy boots. Cool. More updated versions, of course, he looks like a regular, just jacked guy. He looks kind of like Michael J. White. If you know who that is, then you probably go, yeah, he does. And then on the other side, you have Colossus. Piotr Rasputin. Such a great mutant ability. He's a giant guy. I think he's listed around like at 6'5", between 6'4" and 6'5" normally. He gets a foot taller. So he's like 7 foot tall. And you can't teach that. And he's essentially a living organic metal. He is the powerhouse of the X-Men. During the time that I really read them, he was on the Uncanny X-Men, so he was X-Men Gold Team. He has been able to go normally pretty well with someone like the Juggernaut. He is one of the undeniable powerhouse characters of the X-Men. So you've got Luke Cage, who essentially he went under an experiment where they pretty much saturated him in chemicals. For a while, there was the idea that it was kind of a pseudo-Tuskegee Airmen sort of treatment to him. Other ones, I wish they would have gone more with this, is that they were trying to do a replication of the super soldier experiment, and they kind of went, he's a pseudo Captain America sort of character. So he would have been a phenomenal person to take up the Captain America shield. But alas, they never went that direction, so they went with Sam, and Sam's a great Captain America replacement. So why are these two guys squaring off against each other? Now normally I pick, it's a middle of nowhere location. They will have some level of knowledge of each other. Iron Fist has done a decent amount of work with the X-Men. And Iron Fist and Luke Cage are super bromantic. No, don't fill in things in the comments of, what if they were boyfriends? They haven't been in comics. There's no reason to shoehorn that in. It didn't work with Steve and Bucky. You're not going to make it work with Luke and Danny. Squash. So, I'll look at this from north of 9 criteria, but neither of these guys really have energetic versatility. They don't really, they're tanks. They are both two guys who are going to get in close and wail on each other. Yes, I know in X-Men the arcade game classic go, ah! And had like an energy sphere go around him. It's not one of his abilities. If you were to translate abilities from that game into the comics, Colossus with the ability to kind of make an energy bubble around him would be kind of impressive, but Wolverine generating a laser in front of him would be impressive as well. So this one would be first 7 criteria. Intelligence, findability, strength, speed, durability, and vulnerability, and X factor. Now knowing people have asked, I'm sorry, I forget the commenter's name, who did a really great job of looking at intelligence from a 5-point perspective. That's actually really good. Lots of people said I need to add additional ones to this. Initially, I only did a 7 criteria system. I actually added more to it later. But I look at these, each one, they're all weighted the same. I don't use a point scale. It's not like, Well, his intelligence is a 5, his is a 6. It's an upper minus, it's up or down. It's check, check minus, check plus. I have done very, very few ties, and highest number is the person who more than likely would be the victor. If it's, in this case, if it's 4-3, person with 4 should win more often than the person with 3. Not saying the person with 3 could not win under any circumstance, but the person with 4 should more than likely win. So here I am on this one with intelligence. Both these guys have spent a tremendous amount of time when it comes to team base. With Luke Cage, he spent time on, I want to say, the Secret Avengers team, Heroes for Hire, and a lot of time with Power Man and Iron Fist. Colossus has been with multiple iterations of the X-Men, as well as the Acolytes, which would make him one of Magneto's men, as well as Excalibur. He also spent time in Russian Special Forces. And he's also spent time as a teacher in Xavier's school. So I would say when it comes to an overall intelligence background, that would be the amount of knowledge that he has, the amount of experience that he has, his team-based knowledge. I would definitely give him an edge. Now, fighting ability. This one I had to go back and forth with because Colossus has been trained by Cyclops, Wolverine, and sword training with Nightcrawler, as well as having other special forces training. Where Luke Cage has had lots of training with people like Hawkeye, Captain America, and Iron Fist. I wasn't able to find if he ever had any level of training with either Shang-Chi or Black Panther. But I will say, I give Luke Cage the edge to his fighting ability because he was trained by Iron Fist. Iron Fist is one of the few characters who martial arts is their special ability. He is a living weapon. They spend a tremendous amount of time together. So you can tell that he's got a tremendous amount of knowledge that he would have accumulated over time from someone like Iron Fist. Strength. Depending on writer, Luke Cage is written from a 25 to 50 ton character, where Colossus was classified as a 70 ton when he was a teenager, and now he's classified to 100 to 100 ton plus. So, you basis that alone, and he definitely does have an edge when it comes to strength. Speed, I'm going to give Luke Cage a speed edge because he actually does have heightened reflexes. From the experiment that he went under, he does have skin that is virtually impenetrable. He also does have enhanced reflexes. Colossus has the same amount of speed in unarmored form as he does in armored form. So he doesn't have any sort of actual technical speed advantage. Durability. Luke Cage does have a healing factor. His body does have a lot less lactic acid. Now, on Colossus' side, he doesn't actually have a true healing factor. However, when he makes the transition, his body pretty much becomes all metal. That includes bone. That also includes muscle fibers. The longest he's gone in metal form in the process of doing physical labor has been 5 days. Because he requires no food. He requires no drink. He doesn't even require oxygen, depending on writers. So I'll definitely give a durability edge to Colossus. I think Colossus, since the only way you really, once he goes metal form, you can't use poisons, you can't use toxins. He is metal, inside and out. There's a few comics where I think they show him being shot like in the mouth area, and the bullet like bouncing and spitting it out, because he's metal all the way through. Now, of course, if he doesn't change right away, he can be caught. I want to say it was he did a small 4-issue with, I want to say it was Megan. That is the shapeshifter weather controller. At some point in time, she was also the wife of Captain Britain. So she was the blonde who wore the green and black during the Excalibur runs. And Arcade was able to use a toxin that got him before he transformed. Now, I don't picture this sort of fight being where Colossus is going to be like, oh, hey, I think I know who you are. Yeah. I'm not going to transform like instantly because it's a fight. So I definitely do think that this fight's going to happen. He's going to change. That's what Colossus does. So even though there's a slight healing factor on Luke Cage's side, the fact that there's going to be no lactic acid buildup on Colossus, and the fact that he has a level of stamina that allows him to go for days before he gets even remotely winded. And vulnerability. I had to go back and forth on this one, and a lot of it was because Luke Cage's skin virtually impenetrable. He's taken bullets, small caliber, high caliber. He's pretty good against temperatures, but Colossus has taken essentially a train full of dynamite and has been okay. He can survive temperature ranges that are virtually unheard of. Not quite absolute zero. I think he can go down like minus 300 degrees Fahrenheit and several thousand degrees Fahrenheit on the positive side. So this guy can walk through pretty much a molten steel building and still be relatively okay. Or be almost filled with liquid nitrogen, well, almost be filled with liquid nitrogen, and still be relatively okay. So his level of invulnerability is off the charts. And you might notice I have Y's there for projection and versatility, because this doesn't really happen. So X Factor, I'm giving it to Colossus. I had to go back and find out who's been the highest person they've actually fought. Luke Cage did a good job holding his own against Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk was like, hey, I hear you running around with Rhino. And they had a fight. But Professor Hulk wasn't like pushing him that much. Okay. Where Colossus, this hell is other people like Juggernaut. Colossus was doing okay against World War Hulk. World War Hulk broke his arms. And I was like, well, the times I've seen Colossus really be injured, it was World War Hulk who successfully beat the Sentry. Yes, if you actually read the book, Sentry transforms one punch before World War Hulk does, so technically World War Hulk wins the fight. And someone like Juggernaut. So the people that really hurt him from an Earthbound standpoint are some of the heaviest hitters that exist on Earth, not including cosmic characters. Where Luke Cage just doesn't have that advantage. So I look at this fight being effectively 5-2. There's Luke Cage has gotten the opportunity when it comes to strength and speed advantage, but beyond that, there's really nothing Luke Cage can do that Colossus can't do the same of, if not better.